Welcome back in today's video. Today we're going to be talking about, why have I not been consistently uploading this year as much as the previous years? And I said I was going to talk about this, maybe, and well, here I am. I'm going to try to do this one take. I'm going to try to do this without saying a lot, but I got me a little list of things that I'm supposed to talk about. I feel like it is important for me to talk about this because some things that I learned, I feel like they might be able to help you. So basically, stuff has been tough this year, and I had to end a relationship that I've been in, and it was not due to really the person so much. It was my mental health, and my mental health was not good. And so the issues that I've been having with my own mental health is like, it's made it increasingly more difficult to handle making YouTube videos and definitely maintaining any type of relationship. So I needed to take a step back. And so this video is a little bit more difficult than I thought it was. I'm just going to start it here. I knew because of my own mental health issues, I was having trouble with content. I was having trouble with relationships. It didn't matter if it was my girlfriend. It didn't matter if it was relationships with friends. It was any family relationships, anything. I was closing myself off in a box, and I couldn't help it. I was in therapy. I was working through things. It might have been because of a brain injury that I had. I don't really know what to attribute it to, but I was having a hard time just in general, I guess. My health was not. I wasn't paying attention to my health. I guess it was depression, but it was like a different type of depression than I ever felt, and I wasn't hitting all the points that I was supposed to be hitting. I definitely couldn't keep up with the consistency that I normally had been keeping up with in the past years. I don't have no idea what it is. So I knew that I needed to end the relationship that I was in, because I couldn't fully commit myself to, and I just didn't feel like it was fair that I couldn't fully commit myself to the person I was in a relationship with. And it didn't mean that I didn't love that person. It didn't mean that I didn't like that person. It was just when you're avoiding things, because no one wants to break up with anybody. No one wants to end anything. It's hard. Change is difficult. So I realized that it come a point to where it needed to end. Not because of the person, but because of me. I don't want to just like put all blame on me. It's more of like a necessary ending in order to restore. I think I'm going to have to restart this whole video. I'm going to keep going. I'm trying to. It's just hard stuff to talk about, but I feel like it's really important because this channel means so much to me, and so much has happened this year. I just feel like to get it off my chest, is something that needs to happen. There's so much that's going on inside my head, so much that I haven't told you that I wish I should have been upfront and honest about. I've reached a point where I'm afraid to even do certain types of content, which is crazy because when I first started this channel, it was to help with my depression, anxiety, and I guess somewhere along the way that stopped helping, and it maybe it attributed more to it now. So in a way, the thing that you care about most is also the thing that causes you the most harm. Be whatever it may, the one thing for sure is that I needed to do something. I was in a romantic relationship with my ex that I wasn't giving her the proper attention. And I think because I was avoiding that difficult breakup, that difficult conversation, it was manifesting itself in other ways, such as sometimes we wasn't seeing each other for like a month at a time. Everybody in the comments was like, "Where's Cinnamon? Where is she?" And that I think we both got to a point to where we loved each other, but it just wasn't working, and it was not fair to either one of us. And I had to suck it up, and I did the hardest thing that I've ever done. I've been full on ran over by a vehicle, and in a not to sound like deep poetic or anything like that, but I would have rather been hit by a car than go through the pain of having to break up with somebody, because I've never done that before. I've had mutual parts I've been broken up with. I've never broken up with somebody, and that's the worst experience of my entire life. But I knew it had to be done because I loved her. I love her, and it needed to be done. I couldn't just keep on avoiding this and putting her through what I was dealing with. I knew I needed to take a step back and work on myself. If even we were going to have a friendship at all in the future, that needed to happen. So I remember driving to her house, crying on the way, and when I got there, trying to be completely composed and have that conversation. And then there was a lot of crying involved, and it was just extremely difficult. So did that, final hug, left, went to my grandparents' house, very difficult. And then the days after that, I just couldn't bring myself to upload. The emotions that I was feeling were like preventing me from doing this. And even talking about it now is kind of hard, but now I feel like our relationship is even better than it was before. We are hanging out, and it's more positive and things like that. And I'm gonna get off of that hard topic to talk about and bounce into necessary endings, which is why I wanted to make this video, why I felt like it was important to get it out there to you guys. You're gonna have more people in your life, more situations, more emotions, more everything than you are ever going to be able to handle. So you have to become to understand that you got to end and cut out certain things. It can be closely compared to a rose bush. If you're familiar with taking care of a rose bush, you do have to clip off branches and buds so the flower gets more nutrients to the flower that it's supposed to, so it can be beautiful as it can be. And that's closely compared to a human being. We're going to have more branches and more buds than we're ever going to be able to handle, which is more commitments, more people, just more everything. And we have to become very good at deciding which things we can do and which things that we can't do, so then we have more energy, emotional, mental energy to put towards our growth. And I do apologize if I'm saying a lot, but I've been cutting things and changing things. A lot of you guys might have noticed on the channel. I've recently disabled DMs on Twitter and other social medias. That way I could focus more on talking to the community as a whole. It was becoming increasingly more difficult, and to just, I would dedicate hours a day to just replying back to people, and that's not a healthy thing to do. I was hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, depending on what the traffic was like for that week. And I was just replying and having full-on conversations, and I noticed that some of the conversations would be less than, and you guys were getting less of me, and it definitely at a much poorer state. I was just not there mentally, and something had to give, so I had to cut that, and hopefully things will get better moving forward. But 2019 has probably been the most difficult year that I've ever went through, And the craziest thing is that I'm still not used to haters and criticizers and stuff like that. It's like, even what I'm talking about now, there's going to be people that are going to come in and they're going to be like, you're manipulating your audience. And I swear, it's not very many, but people do that, and it just blows my mind. Like, I can't comprehend doing that to somebody or saying that to somebody. I never see a situation where somebody is saying that they're hurting emotionally and feeling pain, and then telling that person that they're lying and they're manipulating somebody. But that's just how some people are. And if one thing I read in the book, Necessary Endings by Henry Cloud, I think it is, he talks about there's 3 different types of people. There's wise people, foolish people, and evil people. And if you get in an argument with a wise person, they're the type of people that's going to sit down, they're going to talk it out with you, they're going to really try to understand from the other person. There's foolish people who really don't understand either way, and they're just kind of like, I really didn't mean to hurt you, I don't understand why this happened. And then there's evil people who 100% meant to hurt you. And for most of my entire life, I didn't understand the concept of there just being evil people in the world, and I know that probably preaches to the major naivety that I have in myself. But it was only in this year where I started realizing that, man, there are people that are out there that are really trying to hurt me. And a lot of you guys might have seen that, people making videos on me here and there, and they're just, it didn't matter if there was truth to the things, they would just be like, boom, this is that. And I had to like rewire my brain to understand that there are people out there that are trying to hurt you and are trying to gain off of you. And it was such a foreign concept to me, because I, at least in 2012, developed the mindset for compassion. And I just genuinely thought that people, when they did something wrong, they just haven't developed emotionally up into a certain specific level. And I was trying to have compassion for these types of people. And I would give these people more chances than they deserved online and in my personal life. And I just wouldn't create those boundaries that needed to be set, which sometimes really put me in a really bad spot. And now, understanding that there is wrong and bad people that mean to hurt you, I'm starting to create these boundaries more. And it's been such an uplifting point in my life. And I don't like being in the world where I know that 100% there's people that are trying to hurt you. It just is still such a foreign concept to me. But I don't want to lose the compassion that I have. So I continue to have at least some compassion, but if I see something's not working for me, I try to end it as soon as possible now, because if I can go through if I can force myself to break up with somebody that I love, just because you love somebody, it doesn't mean that you should stay with them. You got to understand that concept. Because you love someone, because it doesn't matter if they're family, it doesn't matter if they're romantically, just because you love someone, it's not a good enough reason to stay in keep yourself in a situation that's not working out for you. And you really need to understand. I worded that right. Sometimes you do come to a point where you do need a necessary ending. It's going to be more helpful for you and them, because what I've noticed was when I went forward with the necessary endings that I've had to do, be it difficult as they are, not only did it make me better, and I had to go through pain. Don't think it's going to be easy. Anything that's worth anything and it promotes your growth is going to hurt you. It might hurt for weeks, months, years, but it's good for you, and it's good for the other people as well, because that's the one thing I notice is I'm more happier, the development in me, and I see the same development in the people that I love, and that's what I wanted, and it still hurts me to think about the pain that I went through, having to end and cut off certain ties and things like that. But it's something it's so important to do, and I can't stress it enough. Don't avoid these things. If you try to avoid these things, it's going to manifest itself in many more adverse ways. So boundaries are important, or just by putting it off, because it's definitely easier to put it off. Like if you know that you have a relationship that you need to end, or you have a situation that you need to end, or people that you don't want in your life, or emotions that you don't want to confront, and you avoid them, they're going to come off as you're just going to gripe at somebody for smoking a cigarette, and you're just way too about them smoking that cigarette, but it's really not about that cigarette. It's not about that smoke that bothers you. It's the other things that you're avoiding that's bothering you. And growth is important. That's what I've always been wanting this channel to be about, is promoting the motivation to push through anxieties to meet your goals. So I guess the takeaway of this whole video is that, yeah, it hurts to end things, but it's necessary to do so. It was a very important lesson for me. Now, sometimes the thing doesn't need ended itself. For example, let's go with YouTube. YouTube is really hard for me sometimes, a lot of times, especially this year. I don't necessarily want to end YouTube, but there are certain things that I need to end to make YouTube easier, so I can go to A to B. I've done a lot of things. I have a research team that helps me. Now, they're not meant to help with every single video, but if they can, out of 7 days, if they can help with 1 or 2 videos, that's significant help for me. I'm trying to get a video editor, and that's not for every single day. If they can help me with edit 1 or 2 videos, hey, that's more help for me to focus on the things that I can do to develop and grow this channel. We're not thinking about it. I was in a business call earlier. We're going to do a podcast, and you might see an episode or a trailer episode come out in December, but for sure we're going to start off in January. So my mind, I've cut out a lot of things. I've fixed relationships. You're going to see a lot of things that are just going to be a lot better. The development of the channel is going to be more focused and stuff like that. And I think I might talk about a couple other hard things for me to talk about. At least one more thing that's just on my mind, and I keep trying to push it back. But I feel like in my heart that it is something that it needs to be talked about. I don't know. I'm going to think on it more. I've been thinking about it all year. But I might say something, and it needs to come from the heart, because that's just how it feels. But I'm going to change. I think I got to change the outro to my videos. I think that's another important thing I need to talk about. The word rep is a word that will demonetize your videos, and every single video I put out is demonetized. So I think I need to fix something. So I'm thinking about doing out with the normal outro that I do, and just going straight to thanking Patrons and maybe some fan art. I really like what Ready to Glare does. I like how engaged with her she is in her audience and shows all that stuff, and I try to do that as a goal myself. So that, and I think I'm going to have a couple sponsorships coming through towards December, and I'll try to put that money I get from those sponsorships towards something good. But I guess that's it. But if you guys have any questions for me, definitely hit me up in the comment section, because I love you guys. We're the Rep Squad, and we're always going to be the Rep Squad. We are one of the most positive communities on the platform, and we always seek the truth.